Hey guys, it's your island girl, and I'm back with another reaction video for you today. And today I'm reacting to what it means to be British with Stephen Fry. And I'm getting this one from Trigonometry. The link will be in the description below. Please go over and show him some love. So we're going to get right into this one because I want to know what it means to be British. All right, so please come on in, hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you'd like to support the channel in another way, there's a join button on the channel to become a member. Once you click that join button, you will see all the exclusive perks that is offered. All right, with that said, because your girl is chatting, let's find out what it means to be British. Here we go.
The one thing that strikes
Okay,
me
Mama?
most about you as we sit across from each other is I think you're incredibly, and given your family background, this might sound strange, but you're incredibly British in the most amazing way. And I think you'd be recognized around the world as actually being incredibly British. So the question I want to ask you is, what does it mean to be British?
It's an excellent question. And, one's mind travels backwards and forwards over various, the famous George Orwell, vicar on the bicycle and the warm beer and the cricket. And there's an element of that. And I think I'll start off with, as you say, given my family background, I think growing up in a very traditional English way in a country house, sent away to school with other English boys, but coming from a Jewish family, at least half Jewish, and realizing quite early on that I was gay in a world in which I was interested enough in literature and reading around it to know that meant prison and exile and disgrace and stigma and shame. So it's almost as if I overdid it. I mean, I look at myself psychologically. I'm a member of the Garrick Club. I'm actually wearing his tie at the moment. The MCC, the Beefsteak, the Athenaeum, the Savile Club. It's unbelievable. The Oxford and Cambridge Club, the Arts Club, the Chelsea Arts Club as well.
Wow.
I know.
You are the liberal elite.
It's actually revealing something deeply tragic. This absolute desperate need to be accepted and to feel that the doors of society are open to me. Of course they're open to me. I mean, I don't know why I keep needing, but for some reason I have this this sense. I mean, I wrote about it in an autobiography, and the way I put it was that, like a lot of adolescents, but unfortunately as an adult, I've still taken it. I was pulled apart by this tension, these contradictory impulses. One was to stand alone, to be, the Ibsen hero. He stands strongest who stands most alone. That thing of being the individual, different, apart, but at the same time yearning to belong. So to be apart from and to be a part of were my two things that pulled me. So I wanted to look down on people who were there, they're playing their rugby and doing their thinking ordinary thoughts, being conventional, imagining a life with mortgages and owning garden hoses and lawnmowers. and I wanted to be apart from that. But another element of me just so wanted to be embraced by the world and to belong. And I think that is a strangely English thing, or at least a certain kind of Britain has that, this need to stand apart. And I'm not, I don't belong to any of that nonsense. I don't believe in this, and I'm different. And to say, but also to join. But what it is.
Man, that's an interesting way to look at it. To stand apart, but at the same time, to be a part of something. And that's because when he was explaining how he felt even into adulthood, from adolescent into adulthood, to be a part of something, but at the same time to stand out and knowing who he was from a tender age, that's amazing. The way he put it, it's like, okay, I had to teach myself, and then I need to be a part of so many things. But then he was kind of, what should I say, pulled into one direction, but also want to belong to one in the other direction. And it's not easy when you grow up a certain way and and society look at one a certain way based on how he explained. It's not easy. Man, but when he was listing all the clubs or all the associations that he's a part of, I'm like, oh my word, that is amazing. Wow.
Is to be British. I mean, we used to. I grew up believing that it was fair play. And I think that is still a part of, we British and the Anglo-Saxon tradition, because the Australians call it a fair shake. You've got to have a fair shake, decent, equity in that sense, not social justice warrior equity, but just, it's not, something's not fair. And that's as a child. We all know children scream when things aren't fair, and we are enraged by injustice, and we should be. We shouldn't ever lose that, I'm sure. And I think a certain, this is impossible to say, but because it sounds the opposite, but a certain modesty is important, a certain sense that one isn't quite good enough and that one should be better is an important part of being British. And disliking showing off and braggatism and general sort of braggadocio, if you like. And that's why we find Trump so incomprehensible. I mean,
man, he hit the nail on the head when it come on to you guys not being so like braggadocious. What a word. I'm like, is there such a word? But I know Stephen Fry is a very intelligent person, so I'm going to say there's such a word. And I've heard the word before, but I've never heard it used in that way, to describe a nation of how you guys really behave. And it's so true. And I'm like, when he said it, I'm like, I can picture from what I've learned so far, like reacting and learning about the UK and about British people. That is how you guys are. Man.
A lot of what he says and what he stands for, we can completely understand why people vote for him. But what, just at a simple personal human level, the idea that a British person could ever vote for someone who was so full of themselves.
Yep.
It's just so, oh my God. You heard him saying he's so good at this and he's the best at that. No one would be acceptable in British society. In a pub, if someone said, I'm the best that ever... You go, excuse me. Exactly. In the same way that we couldn't have a prime minister who said, let us pray, or God will, Tony Blair is probably the most religious prime minister we've had for a while. But we just would not accept that.
Yeah.
There's a fantastic moment. Here's what it is to be British. Kipling.
Huh?
Great writer. No accident, Nobel Prize winner. Obviously, unfortunately,
Kipling. Okay.
Empire and the Raj in ways that have made him a little bit unacceptable to some people. But if you read him, you think this is a truly great writer. And T.S. Eliot and many others were, built up his reputation when it had fallen down a bit. There's a scene in one of his novels, a kind of almost comic novel of school days called Storky and Co. Hugely popular book, and it was kind of based on his own childhood. He represents himself as a character called Beetle, who's very short-sighted because Kipling was almost blind. And there's a moment when a politician comes to the school, and we know that what happens to Storky and his friends, they're wonderfully naughty children. They're very disrespectful. They're absolute renegades as children, Storky and Co. at their school. But we know that they then join the army and that two of them are killed, and that they're kind of soldiers, and that they probably are patriotic. They believe in their country and therefore, I suppose, empire. Anyway, a politician comes and speaks to them at speech day, as they do at these schools. And he points to the flag and says, the flag, my boys. And Storky and his friends start to hiss. They hiss him down. They cannot bear that someone should talk in that way, sentimental way about country. It's a private thing. You may have feelings about your country. You may have pride in something, but for someone to talk about it is just bad taste. And that sense of English bad taste, that you don't parade such feelings like patriotism. And to this day, I think if a politician went on about the glory of the country, like when Michael Patillo, in a very short period when he was defense secretary, did that, wrapped himself in the flag, and to people of right and left, it was just distasteful. And I think that is a problem for the British, because whatever the British values may be, they are under threat, as they are. Western values generally are under threat, deeply under threat. And to defend them means to speak in a very un-British way. And that makes us uncomfortable. In America, they don't have that problem.
Nope.
They talk about freedom and America and the flag. And
Yep.
Very happy to do it. But we find that fairly preposterous.
Yeah.
But maybe it's time for me to change and to be less British and to wave the flag not in terms of empire and past greatness and silly things, but in terms of values. Values which include free speech, which include respect and affection for the underdog, that include self-mockery and an ability to consider other people from inside, if you can, I suppose.
Stephen,
Wow.
it's been.
I don't know if that helps.
No, it does.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful way to finish the interview. The final question is always the same. What's the one thing we're not talking about that we really should be?
I suppose I would say.
Wow. Interesting video. But he's right. The way that he had explained what it means to be British, it is. I can literally picture what he's saying, how British people are, when it comparison to when he compared them to Americans. Because you guys are not boastful. You're not braggadocious, if is the word that he used. When it comes on to freedom of speech, being patriotic, you guys, even to say, when it comes on to religion, to you guys, there's nothing to brag about. It's more likely to be more on the reserve side. It's not that you are not proud of your country and proud of who you are and proud of what you have accomplished, but there's no need to be boastful. And I see that, and I see it in the comment section, and I hear it in different videos that I've watched, and I'm like, wow, that is something. And in fact, you guys, when it come on to being funny, being about yourself, the quintessential way of life or being British is just different. Or modesty, it's really different from the American way of life, and that in itself is just amazing to me. But he's saying there could be a little more change, and I see where he's going with that as well. But very interesting video. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comment section. Do you agree with what Stephen said, or do you not? This is not the first video that I've watched with him. He's very intelligent, and I love the way he speaks and the way he formulates his thoughts. It's just interesting to me. Well, that's it from your island girl. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with Stephen or not? Let's have this dialogue in the comment section. It's your island girl, and I'm running out of here. Be good, be kind, be safe, love each other, and I'll definitely see you guys in another video. Bye.